whoever my future partner is, I gotta meet somebody who doesn't want to have kids. And I'm gonna keep saying that every day. It's like, if you got any type of brain, you would not bring a child into this world. Even if you got two loving parents, even if you got everything set up for you, why the bring a child into this? You see how many rich people take their lives? Especially, you not even don't have no money and you struggling, you gonna bring a kid to struggle just like you. I have absolutely no respect for you. I don't. The fact that you got multiple children in this world and you struggling and you dirt poor, that's a choice to lay down and have children. It's a choice. It's just your children, and now your children gonna have to struggle. Nobody asked you to do that. You could have just not had sex. That's your fault. That's not a gift from God. That's you. I have absolutely no respect.
They're not ready for this conversation, because if they were ready for this conversation, there's another conversation that goes along with this. How people use children to weaponize you. They tell you to have kids. That's why a lot of married people, or even other people without kids and with kids, if they see that you're too free or carefree, living your life, self-focused, they will come on in and tell you to have kids. They will. They'll tell you, oh, have more kids. Have a kid. Have another one. Your kid needs a sibling. To get you further into the system, because they know that the system oppresses you. They want to see you struggle. They want to see it. Nobody's ready to talk about that. I didn't have a village, okay? I did everything by myself as a mom with my daughter. I have one kid. And I had somebody who saw me struggle, right? And tell me that if I had another kid, that they would help me. Mind you, they weren't helping me with the first kid that I had, right? And I'm not asking for help. I don't need help. I did it myself. And I learned my lesson, right? But they told me, if you have another kid, I will come and I will help you. Now, if I was stuck in the system, right, mentality, if I didn't learn my lesson, I would have took that offer. I would have took the offer, and I would have had a second kid, putting me deeper into the hole, deeper in the system, deeper into oppression. People use children, tell you to have children, because they are trying to get you into the system that they are in, that they are stuck in, and they want to see you struggle. They want to see you oppressed. Let's talk about that too.
Okay, I had to bring this message to you all because I felt it was really imperative for anyone that's on this kind of truth-seeking journey or a similar life path as myself, as well as many others. There needs to be the understanding and acknowledgement that having children in this world is giving consent to the universe, to this 3D matrix that we exist in, that we're currently operating within. You're giving consent that it's running perfectly fine and that you're okay with how it's running, and you are perfectly fine with offering up new souls, sacrificing new souls to this realm. And I don't care how woke you claim to be, how enlightened you claim to be, how many books you've read, spiritual teachers you've listened to, aliens you contacted, planets that you astral projected to, because if you were privy to the same knowledge, if you were truly understanding of the same knowledge that I have, as well as many others who see this world for what it is, or who have awakened to the extent that we have, you would never consciously choose to bring another soul into this realm, right? And that's not a dig at those kinds of people that have chosen to bring children here. I know some people did it before they even reached the level of awareness or had the same awakening as a lot of us. And for them, I completely understand. And I think in those cases, you might be able to detach from all of that and go on to the next realm. But for those that claim to have had that level of enlightenment and insight, but still chose to bring children here without their consent, to have offspring, knowing that they will be a sacrifice, knowing that they're going to be subject to the same soul trap that you were and others before you, I can't say that you truly have. I don't think that you truly would do it if you really knew what this world was. And if you did know, I mean, that's kind of sadistic, don't you think? To look around at the current state of this world and be like, you know what this place needs more of? It needs more souls to just slave away for, 70, 90 years, if they're particularly unlucky enough, right? And the greatest sign to me of someone who's done existing within this realm and playing this game called life is when they consciously opt out of having children. Your offspring are always going to be the ultimate tether to this 3D world that we live in, the ultimate sacrifice. But when you've reached a level of awareness to where you understand what this world is, what's going on, you wouldn't dare put another soul through that kind of pain unless, like I said before, you have a little bit of like a sadistic side to you. I can't see anyone willingly wanting to bring more souls here, knowing what this world is and what's going to happen to those kids more than likely when they get here. I can't see you consciously wanting to do that if you truly understand what this realm is and what it does to people. So when I look at someone and they've chosen consciously to not have children, I know that person has reached like an ultimate level of awareness, right? And that is when I can look at that person and say, that's probably going to be their last lifetime, or I know it's going to be my last lifetime, right? When you can say my bloodline ends with me, the pain, the trauma, the love, the happiness, the sadness, the good and bad times, it all ends with you. And the reason I say that too is like, this is a dual world. This is a dual system. So it's not all pain, right? It's not all sadness. It's not all despair. There are some happy times and good times, but that alone is not enough, or should not be enough for you to be like, well, you know what? I will still bring a kid here because they're going to have some bad times, but they'll have some good times too. And, I might as well just allow them to experience the same kind of monotonous life that I have had. I might as well bring them here so they can experience that too, which is very selfish as well, I would say. But when you decide, I'm not going to give birth to my oppressor, I'm not going to give birth to future oppressors of other people, that is when you're truly the most free. That's why people within the system, this patriarchal system that we operate within, they will make a concerted effort with women especially to keep mindlessly birthing children, because that's what the system lives off of. The energy consumption of your kids, new souls. That's what fuels the engine of this world, right? I spoke on this in another thread, in another video. The United States was built off of trafficking. So the United States was built off of the trafficking of people, humans, children. And ultimately in the astral realm, they're trafficking souls. Like this is a trafficking system that's occurring in the astral realm. Okay. Souls are being traded like stocks up there. Okay. And I'm going to do another video on that. I did a video on that on my TikTok page, but this is also why single people are taxed the most in this world. And the people with kids are given incentives to have more kids. Welfare homes are like breeding farms for like more NPCs because they want less thinkers and more doers. Because the more time you have to think, the more time you have to sit and question this life, question your existence. Why are we all here? Why is this world set up the way that it is? Why is it set up to where we work, eat, sleep, and die, and then ultimately come back and do the same thing over and over again? The last thing they want is for us to sit and ponder about why none of this makes sense, why we're all here. Because if you did, you would not willingly choose to continue the system just as it is. You would rebel, you would reject the status quo, and you would stop adding more souls.
Every time you have a kid, you are co-signing that the system is working and that it should continue. Okay? When that child is born and they get a long social security number and a birth certificate, it is a ritual and initiation for that child to continue on the system. Okay? When you take your child home and you rely on expensive equipment like the newest rocker, the pumps that pump milk so that you can wash dishes, you're co-signing that it is a capitalistic society and that you don't need a village, that you're a woman that doesn't need to be surrounded with strong women and a strong community. You don't need that, because all you need to do is buy stuff, because the stuff that you buy is going to make up for all of that, right? When you pass on your beliefs and values that you think are yours but are really instilled from the system and society, and you pass them on, you're passing on the system. When you take your kids to school, and now your kid's in school, and they're following the education system, you're co-signing it because you entered your kid to the school, and now your kid is staying 8 hours a day, learning competition between their classmates, right? Who has the best poem, who has the best grades, who did this, oh, you got those grades. How to be at a place for 8 hours, how to comply, how to follow their rules. You're co-signing it. When holidays come and you want to be the best parent, right? The nice one, the awesome one, the fun one, and you buy them all these Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, all this stuff, right? You're co-signing that capitalism works. You're co-signing that the money is what the system needs. And you're passing this along. And now your children are absorbing it, right? And they're going to pass that along. When you have kids, you're co-signing that all of this stuff works. You know how in the Matrix, the last one, right? The one that was just made, the most recent one. I forgot Neo's girlfriend's name. But do you guys remember when like the system or whatever, the program, put her in the Matrix with a husband and kids, and like Neo was trying to like tell her, wake up, it's not real, wake up, and she couldn't get up from it. Like she was, which I'm a mom, I have a daughter, right? And I was like, man, she's not gonna wake up because I know the love that you have as a mom. And I'm like, she's not gonna wake up because when you're a mom, you love your kids, right? Like you're always gonna pick them. You raised them, you took care of them, and she couldn't wake up. But she was able to wake up. But when she woke up, the kids were gone, right? Because they trap you in the system with kids. When there's an ego death that happens when you become a mom. Your old identity dies. You are not, let me tell you, you are not going to be the same person. Who you thought you were is dead. Before I had my daughter, I was extremely rebellious. I swear to God, I was like born here to go against the system because I always went against what everybody did, always went against what they said. I always fought against rules, I was in the military, okay? And I was getting in trouble constantly because if the rules didn't make sense, just because somebody said it, and they try to dog somebody out or whatever, I always stood my ground. When I had my daughter, it's like a piece of that of me died because I gave birth to a being in the system. So what does that mean? Basically, my child is an extension of me. I love my kid. That's like my heart walking, right? So I have to follow the system to keep me and her safe. I have to. Because if I don't, boom, 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 CPS, right? You don't know if somebody is going to be, what's the word? Passive aggressive or, harmful in any type of way. So you can't just be arguing with cops or whatever, right? Because you can't get locked up. You can't put yourself in situations that might harm you because I have a child to protect, right? You are locked in the system if you have a kid. You are locked in, okay? You can get out in your own ways, but you're locked in for the most part, and you're co-signing. Look at this. They used the woman's womb against her because the woman is the portal between life and death. Everything begins with the woman and everything ends with the woman. They oppressed women, made them second-class citizens, and yet used their womb to continue this system. They did it. Even women, after they have children, when they enter motherhood, they experience full oppression. They don't have enough money for daycare. Now they have to rely on someone financially, right? Completely oppressed. But they told you that your biological clock was ticking. They told you that you were going to die alone. They wanted to instill fear in you to continue the system. They did. They wanted to instill extreme amounts of fear in the woman, because that's the only way they continue this cycle, this system, the beliefs, the values. That's why a lot of millennials, they never had a drive or a passion or desire to have children, to get married, because deep subconsciously they knew that there's a huge flaw in the system. And women were waking up without even fully knowing, because everything is spiritual, fully knowing, if I give birth in this system, I'm co-signing that it works, and it does not work for me, because everything begins and ends with the woman.